You've heard people say, well, I'm eating because it makes me feel better. And you go, what? I beg your pardon? Comfort eating? What is that? Is it even a thing? Is it a thing? Comfort eating? Is it really a thing? And I poo-pooed this whole thing until the pandemic. And then I noticed myself of an evening thinking, I'd love a bar of chocolate or something. Is anybody going to the shop, or shall I go? I'll go, it's fine, I'll go. And then others would say, oh yeah, get me something. And I think that might well be what we describe as comfort eating. It's not without its dangers, of course. Natasha Hodge is from. Natasha is wide-eyed, a nutritional advisor, back on the programme with us. Hi, Natasha.
How are you, James? Lovely to speak to you today.
Oh, I'm just top of the morn. It's sunny, it's lovely, it's autumny, and...
right.
I'm trying to put a spin on it, to be honest.
It's a good day. No, it is a good day. Let's have some positive thinking there.
Yeah. It's better for some, though, if they can smack into what pleases them. Is comfort eating a real thing?
Oh, it absolutely is. I mean, comfort eating, emotional eating is very real, and of course it's been highlighted during now we're in the second lockdown, but in this whole year has focused on that rather.
So what is the science, what is the biology behind comfort eating? What is the brain doing here?
Well, if we can break emotional eating into two parts, and as you say, the biological influence on it is, so there is an actual chemical perspective, as it were. It actually means that we are addicted to certain foods, and if we really look at whether it's helping us to stress relieve, then it absolutely isn't. Unfortunately, we can spin it however we like and try and convince ourselves that it's doing us some good, but actually that's probably more the social perspective that's crept in and made us think that. But the actual chemical balance of the body is upset if you eat foods that you weren't designed to eat.
Right.
Sorry, you were going to ask something.
Yeah, well, I'm always intrigued by, the science behind this. I believe that we don't do anything without a reason. It's probably come from our evolutionary development. So there's something going on there, isn't there? I'm curious as to what the brain is trying to achieve by wanting foods that it knows probably aren't very good for us.
Well, the trouble is with traditional comfort foods, they're the ones that are primarily high in carbohydrate and sugars. They're creating an imbalance. So you've got a mental and physical environment that is causing inflammation of some type. You're also getting actual chemical reactions to those foods. So the craving part is a chemical reaction. So obviously things that light up our brains, the fructose and the glucose, we've unfortunately over time altered those foods and isolated certain parts of food that we've enjoyed. So because of the industrialization of food, we can isolate those and then turn them into sort of fake food, as it were. And the brain then latches on to the feel-good factor. But actually then the cycle becomes that it increases your stress level. It actually puts pressure on the body because then you've got to try and get rid of those things from the body. So you've got this imbalance going on. You're robbing Peter to pay Paul, so you've not got the nutritional elements, and the body is properly searching for the right nutrition, and it tricks you into thinking, okay, I need more of those donuts, and it will help me. But the social side of things is actually the more dangerous part of emotional eating, because we're totally in a situation where people are told, be kind to yourself, have cake, have, all those sorts of things, because if that's going to make you feel better, then that's going to prop you up. But actually the stress is then getting worse. If I said to you, James, I tell you what, instead of treating yourself to a bag of crisps or a cake, why don't you treat yourself to a pack of fags? And you go, well,
fair point.
no, because I know cigarette smoking is terrible, and that's become socially unacceptable. But eating sweets and cakes is totally acceptable. So really we need to go back and say, let's understand why these are not doing us any good, and then they'll become socially unacceptable.
I've spoken to people on this very programme who have described comfort eating as something they frankly are not prepared to do without, almost like it's an addiction. Can it get like that?
Oh, it's absolutely addiction, yeah. Your brain is lighting up when it's given those, as I say, concentrated elements. And, even if we're home baking, you're still taking certain elements that the body has always enjoyed. We evolved to find foods that were quick, that had nutrient density. So say in the late summer months, going into winter and autumn, you'd really stock up on fruit because it would fatten you up and see you through winter. So if you think of it like that, those sorts of foods, of course, we're evolved to go, right, I'm going to just put loads of it in.
And can depriving oneself of so-called emotional food, comfort food, actually lead to depression, even in the short term?
What, if you deprive yourself and don't have them?
Yeah.
No, in fact, it's the opposite.
It's the other way around.
Absolutely. Giving up sugar, for example, it doesn't actually take that long for the body to adjust and find things too sweet. But actually, if you're concentrating on the things that we're supposed to have, so your unprocessed, high-quality meat, fish, dairy, vegetables, etc., in the end, you're propping up your stress threshold is much higher. Your brain is allowed to then think more clearly. So you're actually then not craving those foods because you've got rid of them. And in fact, then you're comforting yourself in a much stronger way.
Obviously, it's one of the fastest routes to weight gain because it is, by definition, all the wrong things that we shouldn't be eating. But to someone who says, look, if I don't go and eat that cake, I'm going to thump someone, it will just make me feel better. How do we say to them, no, have something else instead or nothing at all? How do we encourage, how do people reset their minds to not crave those foods?
It obviously is. It does take a little while. It's not an instant thing. You do crave these things, and if you've always eaten them, then that cycle will continue. So then you've got the craving. You eat it. Very short while later, you'll need some more. But if you then start to taper it, so I've spoken to you before about fasting. Fasting is a great way to reset the body just in general. So then you're getting fuller quicker. And if you concentrate on fat and protein, they're the two mechanisms that our body recognises. It doesn't have a cut-off switch for sugar and carbohydrate.
No.
So reducing those is an easier way. So if you're eating your protein and fat and you're getting very full, I mean, obviously we've got a situation where you've got the dessert belly syndrome. You and I have spoken about that before in the past, where you've still got room for dessert. But if you're reducing the time frame you're eating and you're concentrating on the really good stuff, your brain literally then starts to reprogram itself and says, right, they're the things that actually make me feel better. Because we're not depriving it of one of the essential nutrients, which is fat. We're saying, that's great. If it comes packaged in the food, then you need it. But unprocessed food is obviously always going to enhance us, whereas the processed foods, the high sugar foods and seed oils, they're artificially comforting us.
Wow, there you go. That's what it's all about. That is what so-called emotional eating is, how it's combatable. As always, our huge thanks to Natasha Hodge from Natasha is Wide-Eyed, the nutritional advisor. Keep well. You'll allow yourself a little bit of cake over Christmas, I'm sure, Natasha.
Well, I might have a little bit of Christmas pudding, maybe.
Little nibble of Christmas pudding, just to remind ourselves. But on that point, where people at the moment are really feeling it, and we know that there is a well-being issue, and there was before the pandemic, it seems a little, I don't know, not unkind is the wrong word. It feels sort of out of place to now start banging on about, oh, don't eat this, don't eat that. I mean, we do have to be conscious of the impact of well-being, as I say, even short-term.
I mean, with Christmas, again, traditional Christmas foods are pretty great. You know, so you've got your turkey and all the trimmings that go with turkey are absolutely fine. Then if you concentrate on the actual quality of that meal, then you don't really need the quality street and the, hundreds of mince pies that have been sold since August.
The after eights and all of that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Or you just say to yourself, that is just one day, whereas we've obviously got into this situation where we eat 2 or 3 weeks either side of it.
Yeah.
So, just that one day, great. If it was just the one day that was Halloween or just the one day that was Easter, 3 high days and holidays, over the year, that's all right.
That's fine, yeah.
But
we can
not
limit it to
every
that.
single day.
No worries. Natasha, keep well. Great speaking to you.
And you. Take care.